ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयो श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः। नमः श्रीयतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। Dear Swami Sarvapriyananji and all the assembled devotees, admirers of Vedanta and Ramakrishna movement, we have had a similar retreat last week on the same theme. And we had a few more in Scotland as well as Leicester, when the two visiting Swamis were not with us today, on the same theme, Upasana for spiritual progress. So the reason being is that when different Swamis who come, like Swami Sarvapriyanji, who obviously doesn't need any introduction. So whenever Swamis come here, because this is a practicing monastery, Ramakrishna Vedanta Center is a practicing monastery. So we try to make the themes here on which the Swamis speak more practical, because I assume most of us who have assembled here are religious practitioners, or you may say, since it is a practicing monastery, people ideally should come here for practicing religion. So, Upasana, which is nothing but the practical aspect of religion, literally it means sitting near, Upa-asana, sitting near, obviously sitting near God. It may be a personal God or any personal ideal, but the idea is how to make the presence of God, how to practice the presence of God and help, which can help us to transform our own lives. That is the idea of Upasana. So, Upasana for spiritual progress, as the title suggests, we would request Swami Sarvapriyananji to shed some light, some practical aspects from his own experience, vast experience. As members of the Ramakrishna order, all of you know that we are following an ancient tradition, authentic spiritual tradition, because that authenticity gives its relevance. It has to be an authentic spiritual tradition where the upasana or the spiritual practices are handed over not only through books and literature, but through living souls. Souls who have practiced these spiritual ideals, the same Vedantic ideals as demonstrated in the life and teachings of the Holy Trio of Sri Ramakrishna, Srimati Sharda Devi, Swami Vivekananda, and all the disciples who followed them. So we speak in a very universal way. But here, since we have most of you who belong to this tradition, this Ramakrishna Vivekananda tradition, if I may call it that way. So, though Vedanta is what Swami Vivekananda and all the others preach, we still feel that the authentic tradition which Sri Ramakrishna, Mother Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda left behind gives us a very nice way of expressing those ideals in the modern context. You see, most of these great prophets, incarnations, or even you may call him a saint also, they all come to establish a authentic spiritual tradition by following which souls can transform themselves. The ideal remains the same. The universal ideals, obviously, they are eternal in nature. That is what Swami Vivekananda emphasized, that it is the eternal nature of Vedanta or Hinduism or Vedanta. That is what sustains it for centuries. But every time there is a different kind of upasana. Even within Hinduism, you will find the upasana paddhati or the spiritual practices, even within one sect, you will find there are many ways of expressing that ideal. And each one, according to Sri Ramakrishna, is equally valid. There are different paths, as many paths, so as many faiths, so many paths. So each one belongs to an authentic tradition, which has to be authentic in the sense it has to be practiced by a large number of practitioners who hold on to the ideal, started by somebody who has the spiritual authority to start the same. Like Sri Ramakrishna said, he says anybody and everybody cannot start a spiritual tradition. He may start it, but it will not sustain itself. So we know in the modern age, the role Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda, and Ma Sharda Devi played in establishing this spiritual tradition based on the eternal values of the Vedas. So I would not take further time. I would request Swami Sarvapriyanji, who is the head of our Vedanta Society of New York, started by Swami Vivekananda himself. It's one of the few ashramas which were established other than Belur Mutt and Mayavati Advaita Ashrama during Swamiji's lifetime. So the tradition begins, the tradition of disseminating Vedantic knowledge through an authentic tradition begins from Sri Ramakrishna himself, followed by Ma Sharda Devi, Swami Vivekananda, and all the direct disciples till this date. The closer we are to the founders of this great tradition, the better off we are. That gives us sustenance, that gives us the strength, and that gives validity to this great tradition. So I would request Swami Sarvapriyananda to speak on Upasana for spiritual progress, keeping in mind this particular spiritual tradition which is known as the Ramakrishna movement.
Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness unto light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Namaste and good afternoon, everybody. Wonderful to see all of you. Some faces I know. I see them once in a year now, more or less, sort of every year I come around at the same time. And so many new faces. Thank you for turning out on what's getting to be an increasingly warm afternoon. My pranams to revered Swami Sarvasthanandaji Maharaj for his affection, his hospitality, his kindness, and for organizing this event. The subject is dear to his heart, and he has started a series of asking all the visiting Swamis to speak on the same subject. As you can imagine, the pressure is on. I remember similarly Swami Chetananandaji Maharaj in St. Louis, a very revered senior monk of our order. He sometimes does this. He asks each visiting Swami, the subject is always the same. What is Vedanta? So you have to define, redefine, and redefine again, once again, what Vedanta is. But the subject is Upasana, can be loosely translated into English as worship. And it's very easily demonstrated It is this, what you see in front of you. This is a temple. It's a house of Upasana. And here is the deity. Sri Ramakrishna is there, Ma Sharada, Swami Vivekananda. And you see the articles of worship. We see them set out before us. And there is also a seat right here. Those who can see, or maybe you cannot see, right here in front of you, a meditation mat, an asana, a place for sitting. And this asana is kept near the deity. Near in Sanskrit means upa, close to, near, inhabiting the same space. So upasana is inhabiting the same space, sitting near the deity, sitting near. That's all it means. This is upasana. And in fact, this is the correct term for worship. Then we can use many words. Meditation comes under it. Ritualistic worship comes under this. Prayer comes under this. And arguably, as we shall see, something which seems so distant as, a school or a hospital or just your daily round of duties as you go about your life, that also can arguably come under the term upasana. But this is the context within Hinduism. This space, it's particularly this worship space, the deity, the articles of worship, and the asana, the place to sit. You sit near God. What is the connection of upasana with Vedanta? We'll drill a little bit on that, then dive deep into upasana itself. I remember we had a teacher, a monk who used to teach us Vedanta when we were novices, brahmacharis, in the training center for monks in Belur Math, our main monastery. And it's a wonderful, very loving, very funny teacher, very beloved of the novices, who was passed away recently, untimely really. Jushtanandaji, Swami Jushtanandaji Maharaj knows him. So he had this very humorous way of teaching us. And I still remember scolding us for too much emphasis on the knowledge aspect of Vedanta. He would say, only knowledge. What about Upasana? And he would say in Bengali, he would say, in a high-pitched voice, Shudhu Gyan, Upasana kothay? Upasana chai. So only knowledge. No, no, no. So Vedanta is primarily the path of knowledge. We will dwell on these two words, contrast them. Upasana and Upanishad. Why Upanishad? Because Vedanta is literally Upanishad. The definition of Vedanta is Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam, which means Vedanta is verily the source of spiritual knowledge called Upanishad. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. And Upanishad, we all know they are books, texts, ancient texts of a spiritual philosophy, which you find in the Vedas, which are further books, collections of texts, which are at the root of Hinduism. So the highest, the final teachings of the Vedas are found in these texts called the Upanishads. And this collection of these Upanishads is Vedanta. Vedanta Nama Upanishad Pramanam. Vedanta is verily the source of spiritual knowledge, the collective texts called the Upanishads. What do these Upanishads mean? You can immediately see the same structure of the word, Upa. Upasana, Upanishad. What are these Upanishads? What do they actually mean? And the word Anta simply in Vedanta simply means the final, the highest, the end. So the final teachings of the Vedas are Upanishads, is Vedanta. The word Upanishad itself is explained by Adi Shankaracharya, one of the great commentators. In fact, in the Himalayas, if you go to ashramas there, to the monks, Vedantic monks there, they call Adi Shankaracharya, they will call him, the word they use is Bhagavan Bhashyakara, Bhashyakara Bhagavan, the Lord commentator, the commentator, Bhagavan who is the commentator, the Lord commentator. In his commentaries, he defines Upanishads and he says, by Upanishads, no books are meant. What is meant is knowledge. How does he define that? He does an analysis of the word, an etymological analysis. He splits the word into three parts. Upa, Ni, Shat. Upanishad. And upa means near. Near what? Near the teacher who is transmitting the knowledge to you. So that would mean maybe you go to the monastery or to the ashram or to the YouTube channel, arguably today. So upa, you can virtually go near the teacher, but basically approaching the source of the knowledge who is transmitting it to you. So upa is near the teacher. And you can interpret it in more deeper ways. It's not just approaching the teacher or sitting near the teacher or staying in the same monastery or the ashram as the teacher or inhabiting the same virtual space as the teacher. Not just that. I remember how the sadhus would teach it. Upasana means to sit near. Sit near the teacher means जहां guru बैठे हैं वहीं बैठो महात्मा जी. Sit where the teacher sits, not on his lap. Sit where the teacher sits. Where is the teacher sitting? Where are you sitting? I'm right here in front of you, Swami. I'm sitting on the chair. But what's sitting on the chair is the body. If you say, I'm sitting on the chair, then you're sitting in the body. If you say, oh, I'm feeling warm, you're sitting in the prana. I am feeling warm. That's a pranic reaction. If you say that, I am curious, what are you going to speak about? You're sitting in the mind. I am curious. Curiosity is in the mind. It's the mind which has that vritti, the movement of curiosity. And if you say, I am curious, notice, you're not saying my body is sitting in the chair. I am sitting in the chair. You're not saying that I feel, you're not saying that the prana is reacting to the warmth in the ambient temperature in the room. No, you say, I feel hot. That means I am identifying with the body. I am identifying with the prana. I am identifying more crucially with the mind. There's curiosity in the mind. I am curious. I don't say, I see, I am the witness of this wave of curiosity arising in the ocean of the mind. No, you don't say that. And don't say it, by the way. It will be distinctly odd to speak in that way. We are told in Vedanta, even when you realize you are pure consciousness, don't speak like that. I remember somebody writing an email, over-enthusiastic YouTube fan, writing an email to me. This is from the limitless pure consciousness identical to you in this body known as Mishra. So I was thinking, वही बोलो ना कि मिश्रा जी हैं. Say that you are Mishra. But Mr. Mishra. But no, I am the pure consciousness shining in the name and form of Mishra in this incarnation. No, don't speak like that. So where are we sitting? But that's a valid question. Where are we sitting? The Upanishad says you sit near the teacher, which means sit where the teacher is sitting. Where is the master sitting? The master says the innermost realization of the master is, I am Brahman. I am pure consciousness. I am the spirit itself. Sitting there means you have that identity. You can't sit near the teacher if you say, I am body. You can't sit near the teacher if you say, I am mind. I am the ego. I am the witness, I am the awareness that I am identical to you with. Then you are sitting where the teacher is sitting. So it's a beautiful idea. I'm just showing how deep this little word upa can get, near, close. Then the next part of the word, we are still on Upanishad, not on Upasana. The word, little particle ni, the prefix ni. Ni means with certainty. Nishchayena, certainty. What do you mean certainty? Basically, knowledge which is full of doubt, vacillation, is not knowledge. It may be conjecture, it may be something you've read, a kind of speculation, but knowledge, the firm conviction that I know, that cannot arise when there is doubt. So knowledge free of doubt and contrary tendencies. I'm translating technical stuff. Asambhavana, viparita bhavana. Impossibility, the doubt of impossibility. What kind of impossibility? Again, twofold. Pramanagata prameya. It just means doubt about the teaching. All these Upanishads, what do they tell me? If I have such a doubt, then I don't know it yet. If the teacher transmits it to me and I study the text and I gain a clarity, all these Upanishads are basically telling me the same thing. That's the first thing. That's the first big discovery. Are they all telling me a dozen different things? Or are they all telling me the same thing? According to the great commentators, Shankara and all the others, all the other Vedantic masters, they're all telling you the same thing. And according to the non-dual school of Vedanta, Shankara school of Vedanta, what they are telling me is, you are Brahman. One amazing thing about these Upanishads, about Vedanta is, in spite of such a vast mass of literature, so many texts down the centuries, down the millennia, they can all be compressed. The message can be conveyed in a single sentence. And it has been. In half a verse, as Shankaracharya says, Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya Jiva Brahmaiva Napara. Brahman is real, the world is an appearance in Brahman. What about me? You are none other than Brahman. Congratulations. You are the ultimate reality of the universe. You are real and you are the absolute reality of the universe. Brahma Satyam, you are that Satyam, you are the truth. It can be compressed even further into these short sentences found in the Upanishads, which later get called Mahavakyas. Great sentences, great not in the sense of long sentences, of which there are many in Sanskrit, sentences that run on and on and on, but brief sentences, but great in the sense of profound meaning. Atthato Maha, a profound meaning. Tattvamasi, you are that. Aham Brahmasmi, I am Brahman. I am Atma Brahma, this very self is Brahman. Prajnanam Brahma, consciousness is Brahman. Consciousness is the ultimate reality. So these very short sentences, 2 words, or 3 words, and that expresses the entirety of the Vedantic teaching. It's so elegant. It's mathematical, more or less. It just compressed into this. Of course, you need a lot of teaching and studying and thinking over it to see what its connection is to all these texts called the Upanishads and the later Vedantic texts. It can be compressed even further. Just Om. Those who have studied Mandukya Upanishad, you know the entire Mandukya Upanishad. And from there, the Mandukya Karika. And from there, the commentaries by Shankaracharya, Anandagiri, all these concentric circles of texts. They all are explanation of Om. So the entire wisdom is compressed into Om. It can become even simpler, even shorter than Om. The gesture, mudra, this is called Chin Mudra or Jnana Mudra. The mudra, the hand gesture expressing knowledge, enlightenment, consciousness. Chin Mudra, Jnana Mudra. You see sometimes yogis meditating like this, using this, yes. What does it mean? It just means these three fingers, this little finger onwards, this is the physical body, the subtle body, the causal body, and this finger, this one is the ego. As long as you do this, we feel I am this body. Where are you sitting? I'm sitting in the physical body, in this body. I'm sitting in the mind, the personality. And there's something called the causal body, which we need not bother with right now. All three, this is what I am. Nothing very metaphysical, speculative, nothing very esoteric about it. It's exactly what we feel, what we take to be ourselves right now. This person, if you analyze it, you will find these three: the physical body, subtle body, causal body. And as long as I think I am this, like that monk said, Kahan baithe ho Mahatma ji, where are you sitting? It doesn't mean which particular chair you're occupying or which place you're sitting. It means, are you sitting in these three? Then this is our condition. And Vedanta, all of Vedanta is just this transition from this to this. That's all of Vedanta. What does the I, this one, refer to? Does it refer to these three? Or does it refer to this? What do you mean? I'm the thumb? Angushtamatra Purusha, Jyotireva Dhumaka. Of the size of a thumb, a flame without smoke. It's a fancy way of saying consciousness. It's not the size of a thumb at all, but it's symbolic. But what it means is, I am awareness, I am consciousness, I am light itself, not physical light, consciousness, awareness. So that's all that Vedanta is, from your identification with body, mind, to realization that I am the consciousness beyond body, mind. I am the immortal spirit. You can make it even shorter, simpler. Silence. In Dakshinamurti Stotra, Shankaracharya teaches that the Dakshinamurti Shiva is teaching through silence. Then he says he teaches through this gesture. And the doubts of the devotees, the doubts of the disciples are dispelled. The teacher is teaching in silence, and the doubts of the disciples are dispelled. So Vedanta can be put in on so many ways. All of it is Upanishad. And all that it does is it removes our doubt, our question. What is the teaching? This is the teaching. So this is one meaning of ni. We're just explaining the meaning of ni. And why are we explaining ni? We are expanding Upanishad. Another meaning of ni is, all right, I am Brahman, I get it. That's the teaching of the Upanishads, but it's impossible. I have many doubts about it. Is there such a thing as Brahman? Is there such a thing as pure consciousness? Is there such a thing as limitless existence, consciousness, bliss, Satchit, Ananda? And am I truly it? It doesn't seem to be so. And I have many arguments why I think I am matter. I was with a scientist a couple of days ago, one of the leading quantum theorists, quantum computing experts in the world. And he spoke to one of the greatest living scientists right here in England, Sir Roger Penrose. And the saying, he told me personally, I said to him, but Sir Roger, it is true that everything ultimately must be matter, isn't it? And he said, and that scientist told me, smarty pants that he is, said to me, but you see, I do not know what matter is. Yes. And he's on record, Sir Roger Penrose, and saying, I am uncomfortable being called a materialist, for I do not know what matter is. All right. So we have so many questions. Isn't matter the reality? So these questions, I know, see, I'm making a distinction, a simple distinction. One is, there's a whole lot of questions about what Vedanta is teaching. Once clarity we have got about that. So that's one kind of need, clarity, nishchayena, conviction, clarity. But there's a whole other set of questions. I know what Vedanta teaches. I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced. That's another kind. So technically there are different names. Pramanagata samshaya, prameyagata samshaya. Doubts about the texts, the teachings themselves. Doubts about the meaning of those teachings, what they're trying to tell me. I understand what you're trying to tell me, but it's an entirely different doubt. I don't get it. Or I get what you're trying to say. I don't believe it. I have several strong arguments against that. I am the body. All right. So when those doubts are removed, there are different ways of removing these doubts. And there's a whole Vedantic epistemology. We're not going to go Vedantic pedagogy. We're not going to go into that. But all of that I'm trying to say is the meaning of ni. So you can see the word is very short, but it's profound. And then you come to sat. And that has three meanings according to Shankara. Visharana, avasadana, gati artha. One meaning is it removes, it destroys our ignorance. This knowledge destroys our ignorance about ourselves. As you can see, Vedanta is saying we are profoundly mistaken about ourselves. We think we are this. But Vedanta says, actually, you are this. So this movement, removal of our ignorance about ourselves, that we do not know that we are pure consciousness, this removal of ignorance, that is one meaning of Sat, the destruction of ignorance. Not destruction of Brahman, destruction of ignorance. And the second meaning is taking you to, Gati means in the sense of knowledge, actually attainment of realization that I am Brahman. That's another meaning of the word, of the term Sat. Upanishad. It means taking you to your real nature, making us realize I am Brahman. And the third meaning is loosening the bonds of samsara. Samsara is difficult. Somebody said it's no fun. So making it more fun, making it less of no fun. Loosening the bonds of samsara. Three meanings of Sat. Avasadana gati visharana artha. This is Upanishad. By Upanishad, now we realize no books are meant, but the knowledge itself. that which brings us near the ultimate teaching that we are Brahman. That which also means clarity, no doubts, different kinds of doubts, keep that in mind. And then that which takes us to our real nature by removing the doubts, by removing ignorance, and loosens the bonds of samsara while ultimately we are freed from samsara. But on the journey, there are some benefits on the journey. It's a scenic, it's a fun journey. So it loosens the bonds of samsara while we are on it. All right. This is Upanishad. What do you do in Upanishad? By the way, books, then Shankaracharya gives some concession. Yes, you are not wrong that the books are also meant by the term Upanishad. When I say I'm reading Upanishads, I have purchased the Upanishads, I have an entire collection of the Upanishads. Isn't that Upanishads? Yes, of course. So it's only in the secondary meaning. The primary meaning is this knowledge. The secondary meaning is the books, because the books contain this knowledge, transmit this knowledge, embody this knowledge. Therefore, the books are also called Upanishad. Anyway, where does that leave us? Not very far, unfortunately. The Upanishads contain various techniques, which I often speak about realizing who am I, the method of the seer and the seen, the method of the 5 levels of the human personality, physical, the vital, the mental, the intellectual, the causal, the bliss sheet, the panchakosha viveka, the 3 states of waking, dreaming, deep sleep. These are all methodological. These are all pedagogical. These are all methods of inquiry. Why inquiry? Simple. Because what we are seeking is knowledge. Why knowledge? Simple. Because we are in ignorance. How do you know that you're in ignorance? Well, if what the Upanishad has told us that you are Brahman, we clearly don't feel that. We clearly don't know that. This is called ignorance. I do not know that I am Brahman. So I have ignorance. The only remedy for ignorance is knowledge. And the only way of getting knowledge is to ask Google. Yes, that is inquiry. You have to ask Google. So asking, inquiring. So inquiry is the way to remove ignorance. To generate knowledge, knowledge will remove ignorance, and hopefully I will see I'm Brahman, then your work is done. And how do you generate knowledge? Through inquiry. How do you inquire? There are very clear, precise methods, which I have spoken about many, many, many times. Different methods. But that's not our subject today. The problem is, as someone might say, I know there are many here who are veterans. Swami, hold on. I have been doing this stuff before you were born, since then. And I'm sorry, but knowledge has not been generated, and ignorance has not been removed, and I don't think I'm enlightened yet. So it's clearly not working. Vedanta says, so there is a further problem. There's a further problem. First layer of problems, you see, is we see that the first layer of problems is ignorance. The solution for this problem is knowledge, and the method is inquiry. But unfortunately, this hasn't gotten us very far. Now we are being told that there is another layer of the problem. The layer of this problem is restlessness, is distraction, is a turbulent mind. A mind which is unable to realize, to generate, to hold on to the inquiry, to generate the knowledge because of its inherent restless, fickle, turbulent nature. So restless mind, turbulent mind is the problem. Solution, like Americans say, no-brainer, is a concentrated mind, is a mind that is stilled, focused, not fallen asleep, stilled, alert, awake, stilled, focused. And the method, hold on, the method is upasana. The method is upasana. It includes yoga, the meditation. It includes various kinds of practices, but basically upasana. That's what we will talk about today. At this point, someone might say, but I have been doing this kind of meditation. I have a mantra and I've been doing it again decades before you were born, Swami. And I still haven't stilled the mind. The mind seems as restless as ever. And the Vedanta tells us that there is a third layer of problem. And I promise you this is the last. The third layer of problem, the problem is the mind is full of negativities, is the mind is full of impurities. In Sanskrit, this is called chitta mala, impurities of the mind. That's preventing upasana from being effective. We are unable to still the mind because the mind is turbulent because of inherent impurities. How do you remove the impurities? You purify the mind, obviously. How do you purify the mind? One powerful way we are told is karma yoga, our actions. So to make our actions moral, ethical, and further, selfless. Actions can be moral without being particularly selfless. It can be selfish, but still moral. And that's good. That's where we should begin. But also ultimately selfless. So selfless action, automatically moral. Now we have, if you're following this, we have a 3x3 matrix. This is the spiritual practice, the matrix of sadhana in Vedanta. What we are supposed to do. Let me illustrate it. You must have a mental image of it. Generate a mental image of it, a 3x3 rows and 3 columns. The first column would be the problems. And the second column would be the solution. And the third column would be the method. In the first row, you have ignorance of our real nature as the problem. In Sanskrit, avidya, ajnana. And the solution, knowledge. In Sanskrit, jnana. And the method, inquiry. In Sanskrit, vichara. What do you actually do? You hear, you reason, there's a particular kind of meditation there, Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, many techniques in the Upanishads. Second row. First column, problem. Chitta vikshepa in Sanskrit, which means turbulent mind, restless mind, fickle mind, flickering mind. Solution, stilled mind, focused mind, concentration. In Sanskrit, ekagrata. Method, upasana. And we'll talk about that. So we are I'm trying to zoom in on one thing. We have now placed upasana. Method, upasana. But still, for the sake of completion, there's another more basal layer of problems and solutions. Impure mind. In Sanskrit, chitta mala. Chitta mala. Impurities of the mind. Solution, chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind. Again, no-brainer, as Americans would say. And then method, one method, karma yoga or karma. Karma yoga, selfless activity. Now you have this structure. 3 layers of practices. The core practice is inquiry, vichara, the practice of jnana yoga. Shravana, manana, nididhyasana. You hear about it, reason about it, meditate upon it, and that is jnana yoga. The next layer of practice is upasana, worship, meditation. Third layer of practice is karma yoga. This is one way of putting it. This is the structure in traditional Advaita Vedanta. If you look at Shankaracharya's commentaries, you will begin to see sometimes he's talking about karma, sometimes he's talking against karma. Once in a while he does talk about meditation. Mostly he's talking about inquiry into who am I. You see these layers. And of course you see that there is a privileging. There is a certain arrangement. The preliminary practices are ritualistic worship or karma yoga. Little more advanced would be upasana, meditation, what you're doing here. And most advanced would be the inquiry, the methods of inquiry into who am I, resulting hopefully in enlightenment. But karma yoga, impurities are removed, purification is achieved with a pure mind. When we practice upasana, then the restlessness of the mind is removed, mind is stilled. With a pure and stilled mind, when we come to inquiry, then inquiry generates knowledge, knowledge removes ignorance, and this happens. This. I realize I am this. I am Brahman. Nice, neat. Doesn't usually work that way, but anyway, neat. And it confirms to the structure of the Vedas. All these ancient acharyas, they're basically transmitting to us the knowledge of the Vedas. The Vedic structure, if you see the structure of the Vedas themselves, jnana, upasana, karma. We broadly divide the Vedas into the knowledge portion and the ritualistic portion. In Sanskrit, Jnana karma. Jnana kanda, the knowledge portion, karma kanda, the ritualistic portion. But the ritualistic portion can be subdivided into two parts, depending on the purely physical rituals, actual stuff that you are doing, and also speaking. There are two parts to it, physically doing something and verbally chanting mantras. But also the mental, the inner processes going on, the visualizations, the meditations going on internally. So there is upasana and karma. Within karma kanda itself, there is a mental activity and there is a physical or verbal activity. So you can divide into two parts. Finally, you get a threefold division of the Vedas: karma kanda, upasana kanda, jnana kanda. And we're going to focus on the upasana kanda aspect of it. What else do I need to say about this? The upasana kanda, if you go to the Vedas, they are not separate, they are integrated. There is actually a physical action. In those days, they were called fire sacrifices, yajna. And nothing really dies in Hinduism. So the ancient Vedic practices are still alive today in the form of the home of fire, which is done in many traditional, in the Hindu temples it's done definitely, some Hindu homes also it's done. And it survives in every Hindu place of worship as the flame which will be lit before worship, the sacrificial fire, the fire of the yajna. So the lamp which will be lit. You can't start a worship without lighting the lamp. So that is part of upasana actually. I'm now giving you an expanded, a more correct view of upasana. Upasana has a physical side, a verbal side, and more particularly to our purpose, an internal mental side. So the physical side of it would be the worship that is done here. But what you would sit here and watch the worshipper do the worship, what you see in a Hindu temple, if you sit near the priest, the stuff that he's doing, the gestures, the offerings, all that he's doing, that is the physical side of it, karma. And then there is the verbal side, the mantras the priest is chanting, the worshipper is chanting. That's also upasana. And then there is the internal mental side, which you cannot see, but we will talk about it today, the actual practices. Before I go there, just a word. Swami Vivekananda in New York, one day, they were printing out Swami Vivekananda's talks, making pamphlets out of it. I think it was being sold for 5 cents or something like that in those days, generate money for the new Vedanta society. And the printer came and said to Swami Vivekananda at breakfast one day, Swami, it will be good to have a logo, some kind of symbol. And Swami Vivekananda took an envelope, opened it up, and he sketched something on it and drew something and tossed it across the table to the printer and said, who was Dutch, the printer was Dutch, Van Hagen, tossed it to him and said, draw it to scale. And the printer said, what does this mean? And Swami Vivekananda explained it. It is not here. It's right here. Oh, good. You can see it. So this has become the logo of the whole movement of the Ramakrishna order, our Ramakrishna monastery, the Ramakrishna mission, Ramakrishna Math, this logo. What does it mean? He says, the wavy waters, you see the waters and you see the lotus, you see the sun rising, there is a swan swimming and the whole thing is encircled by a serpent. It's quite intricate. What does it mean? He said the wavy waters symbolize karma, action. And the lotus symbolizes devotion, love. And the sun rising at the back symbolizes the light of knowledge, the realization, I am Brahman, it is arising there. And the whole thing is encircled by this serpent indicating the power of Kundalini, the power of yoga, of concentration. Yoga is one of those words which have come down to English from Sanskrit without almost any change at all. Yoke, Y-O-K-E, yoke, to join. And the original meaning of yoga is huge, to join. So, by the harmony of meditation and work and worship and philosophy, he says, inquiry, philosophical inquiry, The swan in the middle symbolizes the Paramahamsa, the ultimate reality, the Atman. Our real nature can be realized. You realize that I am this limitless being, existence, consciousness, bliss. How do you do it? What are the methods? Inquiry, the Jnana Yoga. Meditation, the serpent enclosing the whole thing. Love or devotion, the lotus. And action, the wavy waters. All of them together harmonize, and you realize that you are the infinite self. Notice in this case, he has not privileged anything. In the traditional Vedantic structure, 3x3 matrix, at the bottom is action. Higher than that is the mental part of that. We may call it upasana. And higher than that, final is inquiry into who am I. And that will generate the knowledge which frees us. So there is a hierarchy there. Here's in this diagram, there's no hierarchy. All of them combine to lead us to enlightenment. And Vivekananda says any one of them also can lead you to enlightenment. But he strongly recommends a harmony of all of them. Often our problems in spiritual life is because of falling short in one of them somewhere. All right. Now, I've just given you slightly related but slightly different ideas of upasana. Now we will get into upasana proper. What is it that's done? What's done? Many of us here, we already know. Those who have been initiated into a mantra and meditation by the guru in this tradition, in our tradition, and many related Hindu traditions. So we have a deity, Ishta Devata, the form in which we are supposed to visualize and meditate on God. Then we have a mantra, and we have a technique of meditation taught to us by our guru. So that is our upasana. That's upasana. What you are doing in the privacy of your meditation room or your meditation mat, that is upasana. And what the worshipper is doing in the temple, that's upasana also. By the way, this upasana, the mantra and the deity meditation which we practice, is by itself, it is all comprehensive. It can lead us to full realization. It can lead us to a vision of the deity and ultimate realization of Brahman, that I am Brahman. It's not that it's halfway. It's a second step in a ladder. After this, if to start something else. No, this is by itself. Every result of spiritual practice can come to us just by this upasana. Before we jump into it, I'll share two inspiring anecdotes of what the result could be if one seriously practices it. And this is much closer to our time. One of these swamis I have seen myself, and the other one was just before my time. And there are many such examples, which I know of myself from the other practitioners, both monks and householders. The results of this upasana, many such examples I can give, but two which come to mind. We are not talking about someone in the past, someone much closer to our time. One I heard from revered Swami Suhitanandaji Maharaj, who's now the vice president, but he served Swami Premeshanandaji, who was a great Swami of our order. In his lifetime, he was regarded as a Brahmagyani, as an enlightened person. And he was the disciple of Ma Sharada, of Sharada Devi, Swami Premeshanandaji. So Swami Suhitanandaji was a novice who served him till the end of his days, Swami Premeshanandaji's days. And at the very end of his life, one day, Swami Suhitanandaji asked him, the old Swami, when he was dying, he said, if you want to know something, you can tell me, you can ask me, I'll answer. There are no more secrets. So he did ask a couple of questions. One question itself is so provocative, I will not even tell you the question, let alone the answer. But the other one is also, it's very inspiring. He says, I want to know, do you see Sri Ramakrishna? And the old Swami said, yes. How? Like a picture or living? There's a picture, of course, in the room, like that picture. And the old Swami said, no, living. I see. So this is one story, the living presence, continuous living presence of God. Another one was narrated to us, this I heard myself directly, by Swami Shivamayanandaji, who was the vice president who passed away just 2 years back in COVID time. So he told us, when we were novices, he told us a story about Swami Gambhiranandaji, who was the 11th president of our order. And many of the books we use, Vedanta books, have been translated by him into English. Swami Gambhiranandaji. Long before he became the president of the order, one day this Swami said to us in a gathering, openly in a gathering, he's a gathering of monks, he said, the context was this. Swami Shivamanji was telling us, young monks, we were monks in training. He said, do you know why people revere monks so much? What do they expect from you? Listen. Many years ago, somebody told us that Swami Gambhiranji is admitted that he has the vision of God. Now, I knew, Swami Shivamanji said, I knew that Swami Gambhiranji was very laconic. He didn't speak much. So he would rarely, it's very unlikely that he would say such things about himself, about his own spiritual attainments. So he said, I wanted to verify because, rumors, they spread and everything. What is the Chinese room whispers? Chinese whisper, yes. So it gets added upon. If you whisper to somebody, somebody whispers to somebody else. So he said, I wanted to get it straight from Swami Gambhiranji. So I went straight to him and asked, I have a question. What? Have you seen God? I heard that you have admitted to somebody that you have seen God. Is this true? And Swami Gambhiranji he was very dismissive. He was unwilling to say anything. He said, what, in Bengali, Eshab ki kotha chhado. What kind of talk is this? Let me go. And he said, I literally blocked his path. I will not let you go, Maharaj. You have to tell me. You have to tell me. So Swami Gambhiranji finally, he said that, what do you understand by the vision of God? Whenever I close my eyes, this is literal translation of the Bengali, whenever I close my eyes, the living form of the deity, of the Ishta Devata, blazes forth in my heart. In the lotus of my heart, it blazes forth. Not in meditation. He just has to close his eyes and see God in his heart. Living form, not an imagined form. We start off that way, by visualization, by imagination. This is spontaneously, it blazes forth. And then he adds, is this all then? No, there is more to do. There's more to attain. Do I not have to see Brahman in all beings? In Bengali, he said, Eiki Shab, twice he said, Tabe Eiki Shab, Sarvabhute Brahma Darshan korte hobe na. And then he walked away. So Swami Shivamanji, I still remember the thrill in me. I still remember, this was so many years, decades ago. He looked at us, youngsters, and he said, this is what people expect from a monk when they bow down to you. This is the standard. Of course, very high standard. Then Maharaj can share many more stories. I can also share many more stories about the efficacy, the power of this, what is called Upasana Paddhati, the procedure, the method of Upasana. All right. Now a little bit of, it is circling around Upasana itself. But what exactly is done in Upasana? Those who have got mantra and those who practice, they know. But the formal Upasana, so the meditation that is done, the Upasana that is done after the formal worship. By the way, that's why I'm saying, in the Vedic sense, the physical ritual is also part of Upasana. What we call today in modern Hinduism, we call it puja. We call it puja. So that's also part of Upasana. That's the physical side of it. There's the verbal side, the chanting the mantras, and there are hand gestures and mudras. And there is the central part of this internal. So I'm going to talk about the internal thing because we don't usually see the internal thing, which is done by the worshipper. So here, obviously, the main deity is Sri Ramakrishna, but this translates very well into any Hindu context. If you go to a Ganesha temple, something similar will be going on. If you go to a Shiva temple or a Devi temple, something similar will be going on. And just by the way, the actual physical rituals, the flowers, the offerings, the gestures, that is not unimportant. Often we sometimes, that is ritualism. We are Vedantists, we are non-dualists. Swami Ashokanandaji would say, he was a great Vedantist in the Vedanta Society of Northern California, 1940s, 50s, 60s, in San Francisco. He gave a talk on ritualistic worship the physical side of it. And he said the physical side of it, the puja, is concrete philosophy. It's philosophy which we talk about in Vedanta in concrete terms. Concrete terms, in physical terms, you are handling it. So there's a continuity between the highest non-dualism, the meditation of upasana, which we are going to talk about, and the actual puja which is done. It's one thing at a physical level, at a verbal level, at a mental level, and at the level of knowledge. Same thing. So what does the worshipper do? He meditates. I will tell you what he meditates upon. These are beautiful mantras composed by Swami Abhedananda. So the deity is Sri Ramakrishna. Om Hridaya Kamala Madhye Rajitam Nirvikalpam Sadasadakhila Bhedatitam Ekaswarupam Prakriti Vikriti Shunyam Nityamanandamurtim Vimala Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajama. What does it mean? In the lotus of the heart, this is a tantric concept. You actually imagine a lotus in the center of your chest, corresponding to the heart. Heart is the biological heart is on the left, but center of the chest inside, you visualize a lotus. Technically, it actually should be further back near the spine, what is called the central sushumna. In here, yes, in the solar plexus. It should be a little more further inside. But anyway, you can just conceive of a luminous space in that, conceive of this lotus. Footnote here. A detailed practice of these things drawn from the original tantric sources was actually done by Swami right here, Ghananandaji Maharaj. Swami Ghananandaji, who was here, in his essay on meditation, there is an amazing collection, Meditation According to the Monks of the Ramakrishna Order. One chapter is by Swami Ghanananda, where the most detailed explanation in English that I've ever found. Clear, lucid explanation of tantric meditation, upasana, from the tantric tradition. The 7 lotuses, starting with the Muladhara, Swadhisthana, Manipura, Anahata, the Vishuddha, Agnya, Sahasrara, description of each lotus, then the petals, the colors of the petals, the luminosity, the space where it is to be located, the bija mantra, the seed mantras associated with each lotus, how each lotus is awakened, what happens when the kundalini rises through that lotus, what are the experiences, and what results, what powers are generated, what attainments are attained. All those you can find very lucidly and very systematically set out. I remember clearly because I read it decades ago before becoming a monk. I found it fascinating. And in my childish, immature way at that time, I was a teenager. I used to try to practice all of that. But anyway, it was too difficult for me at that age. So this is just the heart chakra. That is the place where you start meditation. Hridaya Kamala Madhye, gloriously shining, Rajitam, Nirvikalpam. So the first few descriptions here of the deity are of no form at all, is of the transcendental consciousness. The mind is continuously flickering. Consciousness is ever the same. Mind is savikalpa, always going from this to that and the other. Consciousness is ever the same. Consciousness, awareness, awareness, awareness. This is called nirvikalpa, without any change, without any alternation. Sadasad akhila bhedatitam ekaswarupam. It is of always the same, ekaswarupam. It is distinct from the descriptions of manifest and unmanifest. That's what sad asad means here in this case. Then prakriti vikriti shunyam. So what do you mean by manifest, unmanifest? Sounds very abstract. No, it's not abstract. Stuff that we experience is manifest. Things that we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, manifest. And suppose something is there in the subconscious, something what we experienced in deep sleep, that's called the unmanifest. But consciousness is neither. Awareness of consciousness is more profound than both of them. It is that which illumines the manifest and that which illumines the unmanifest also. That which is known is the manifest. That which is unknown is the unmanifest. But consciousness is neither. It is the witness of both the known and the unknown. Therefore, Sadasadakhila Bhedatitam Ekaswarupam. Prakriti Vikriti Shunyam. It is beyond nature. Prakriti and Vikriti are terms from Sankhya cosmology. The original nature, The mother source of the universe, material universe, is called Prakriti, and the products of Prakriti are called Vikriti. But pure consciousness is neither Prakriti nor Vikriti. Prakriti Vikriti Shunyam, Nityam Anandamurtim. Sounds awfully abstract, subtle. No, it is eternally blissful. It is blissful without any possibility of being unhappy. So it is bliss itself. Vimala, the pure. What are we talking about? Some abstract consciousness? No, no, no. Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajama. This Paramahamsa Ramakrishna we worship. So this is the first verse. The second, next to, let me just quickly read out and I'll translate. And I will not explain, but we'll go further. The verses are very beautiful. Nirupamam ati sukshmam nishprapancham niriham gagana sadrishamisham sarva bhutadhivasam trigunarahita satchit brahma rupam varenyam vimala paramahamsam ramakrishnam bhajama. Nirupamam, no metaphor, no analogy can point to that. Ati sukshmam, utterly subtle. So the physical universe is called sthula, gross, physical. My mental inner private world is called sukshma, subtle. Beyond that, consciousness is ati sukshma, subtler than the subtle. Nishprapancham, this is very Advaitic. Beyond the touch of Maya, there is no world there, no universe there, no body there, no mind there, no distinction of individual and cosmic there. Nishprapancham, prapancha shunya, devoid of the universe, where the universe has fallen silent. Niriham, again, unworldly. Iha means this world. That which is not of this world, transcendent. Gagana sadrisham isham, the Lord who is like the sky. Here it means not physical sky, but chidakasha, pure the sky of consciousness. Where is this? What are you talking about? Sarva bhutadhivasam. It is found in every being, in the hearts of all beings. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, it is light, it is the light of lights. Jyotisham api tadjyoti tamasah paramuchyate. It is the light of lights forever beyond darkness. Jnanam geyam jnanagamyam hrihi sarvasya dhishtitam. It is knowledge. It is that which has to be known, and that which can be known only by knowledge. Where is this thing? It is in the hearts of, forever shining in the hearts of all beings. So he says, Sarva Bhutadhivasam, established in. Where is it established? In the temple, Swami? Yes, but also in your heart. In everybody's heart. Sarva Bhutadhivasam. Triguna Rahita. This is very Sankhyan or Advaitic also. Maya is Triguna. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, the three gunas. Beyond the three gunas, transcending the three gunas, is Brahman. Satchid, existence consciousness. Brahma Rupam, this is called Brahman. Varenyam, most adorable, most worshipful, adorable, most revered, Varenyam. Vimala, the pure. Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajama. We worship the Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. No personal thing has entered here yet. So far, we have just seen pure consciousness, which is either transcendent or immanent. Swami Vivekananda says, we Hindus worship a transcendent, immanent God. Transcendent beyond this world, beyond the three gunas, beyond the three bodies. Immanent, Sarva Bhuta Adhivasam, shining in the hearts of all beings. As the consciousness within us, as our own existence awareness. He says, Satchit, existence awareness. But now comes a reference to the personhood of Sri Ramakrishna, avatar. What you see here. Next verse. Pitaritum avatirnam jnana bhakti prashanti pranaya galita chittam jiva dukkha sahishnum dhrita sahaja samadhim chinmayam komalangam vimala paramahamsam Ramakrishnam bhajama. Appearing as the avatar of Sri Ramakrishna. Why? To distribute. Distribute what? Jnana bhakti prashanti. Knowledge, I am Brahman. Bhakti, love of God, devotion. And what is the result of all that? The deepest peace, the peace that passeth understanding. Prashanti. Pranaya galita chittam, whose heart is melted with love, is utterly responsive to us. How is he responsive? Jiva dukkha sahishnum. One thing he cannot bear is the suffering of beings like us. Jivas, sentient beings, he cannot bear. If I am in suffering, you appeal to him, their response will come from him. This is the beauty of the avatar. Here, when you talk about transcendent consciousness, there's just mouthful of words. What is it? But avatar, right here, the manifestation of God. So that's why the Christian phrase, the Lord becomes flesh, the Spirit has become flesh, so that we can interact, we can grasp. Usually, all names and forms are Maya, and they trap us in samsara. But there are products of Maya which are portals, doorways to the transcendent, the deities, the forms in which God is worshipped, and most especially the deities. Still there's an element of culture and imagination there, but most especially the advent in history of God, which is called an avatar. So that Dhrita Sahaja Samadhim, the most spectacular characteristic of Sri Ramakrishna was this, talking about upasana, the practice of the presence of God. For him, God was ever a living reality. Yesterday, Swamiji was telling us that Mahatma Gandhi said, Sri Ramakrishna's life enables us to see God face to face. In Sri Ramakrishna's case, it was literally true. Day in and day out, in front of people, again and again, attaining samadhi, communing with God, actually experiencing God. Dhrita Sahaja Samadhim. Natural, it was natural to him. I met a world-renowned neuroscientist a couple of days ago, and he was saying that he had an extraordinary spiritual experience. It transformed his entire outlook on life. And then he said, but this is something that is rare, and people may have it, if they at all have it, once in life. And here was Sri Ramakrishna, day in and day out, again and again, a variety of samadhis, including the highest Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Dhrita Sahaja Samadhim, Chinmayam, pervaded by consciousness. Komalangam, literally talking about the physical body, of a very delicate body. The pure Vimala, Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajama. We worship the Paramahamsa Ramakrishna. I could go on. So after this, there's a whole technique of worship here. Actually, if you see the worshipper at this stage, when the worshipper meditates on the deity in this way, usually they'll put a flower smeared with sandal paste, and they'll put it. It has been purified. So they'll put it on their left hand. Then they do this. This one. This is called Kurma Mudra, like this. And put it in front of the heart center. And this is where you visualize. You're holding the flower, putting it here, then you chant. Hridaya Kamala Madhye Rajitam Nirvikalpam Sadasadakhila Bhedaatitam Ekaswarupam Prakriti Vikriti Shunyam Nityamanandamurtim Vimala Paramahamsam Ramakrishnam Bhajama. And the mind is informed by all this which I said. This is the meaning. This is how you're visualizing the heart lotus, the form of Sri Ramakrishna, radiant, and this is what you're thinking about Sri Ramakrishna when you're meditating. And then the other two verses like this, it's done. No, don't do it now. This is done as part of the worship. If you are initiated into mantra, you should do the way the Guru has taught. This is part of the regular temple worship, upasana in a temple. So, and then there is a more in-depth upasana. Actually, we have run out of time. I could have mentioned. Have we? 440. 440. All right. 6:40. All right. Then let me go into it. Then is followed. So then you will see the worshipper take the flower out and put it on the top of his or her head, like this. And then you sit for actual meditation without any mantras. Sit still, visualize, and still the mind in that glorious vision. At first, it is imagination. There's no doubt about it. Footnote. The great Kashmiri aesthetician and philosopher and mystic Abhinavagupta, he asked this question: when you visualize a deity, what's the difference between that and imagination? Artistic imagination, you can visualize Spider-Man or Superman, and you're visualizing Sri Ramakrishna or Shiva. What's the difference? So he says there's a difference between them. aesthetic creation, the imagination. And this he calls this bhava. Bhava. What is this bhava? Something that exists, but as yet, due to our own incapacity, we do not yet apprehend it. And then we use the imaginative faculty, memory, imagination, visualization, mantras to generate this image in our minds, in our hearts. It's a visualization. But it's not a product of our imagination. It's something that is existing. It's a pre-apprehension. So like in America, everything is pre-boarding. So it's like pre-boarding. Before you, the pre-apprehension of that which you will ultimately experience. In mystic, like that Swami said, the moment I close my eyes, the living form of the deity, of the Ishtadevata, is blazing forth in my heart. Like that Swami said, when I I do not see it as a picture. I see it as a living presence, a living Sri Ramakrishna. So like that. And it happens. Even now there are such people. And if any one of us does this sincerely, it will come. But when we make a beginning, you visualize it. So you visualize that way, sit in meditation and stay there for some time. Then you offer the flower before the deity there. Then starts the formal upasana. What we have done physically, flowers and incense and all, now this has to be done mentally. That's the upasana proper. The physical thing, if you want to call it karma, ritual, then the internal practice is called the upasana proper. What's done there? Let me read out what is actually done in English, then I'll chant the Sanskrit original, what is actually chanted by the worshipper. So first imagine an ocean of nectar in the lotus of the heart and an island of jewels in its middle. Then think of the deity. In this case, it could be Sri Ramakrishna or whatever the deity you're worshipping, shining there on an exquisite throne over a jeweled seat under the Kalpataru, the celestial wish-fulfilling tree. Mentally offer the heart lotus as the asana. See, it's the seat. You're offering it to God, your heart as the asana for sitting. Then welcome the deity. Offer water, which is the nectar flowing from the 1,000-petaled Sahasrara. So nectar is flowing, that is the water offered to the deity. Then offer your mind as the argha. Argha is an offering of the leaf and the flower with rice and sandal paste. It's a sacred offering which you put before the deity. It's there now, you can see. So here, that's symbolic. But here you are offering the mind itself, your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your desires, your devotion, all of it into this sacred offering, like a leaf with flowers and sandal paste on it. You're offering it at the feet of the deity. That's the argha. And the deity needs water to, like we wash our mouth, achmaniya. So the nectar flowing from the Sahasrara is offered for achmaniya. Then that same nectar is used for bathing the deity. Then there is Akasha, the element of sky, is offered as the cloth. Then the earth is offered as the sandal paste. The mind is offered as flowers, prana, as the incense. You offer incense here, but your own in-breath and out-breath is the incense. Then light, teja, is offered as light. And many others. I'll read out the actual Sanskrit. This is a tantric way of worshipping. And it's now common to most Hindu deities in temples. It goes like this. Om Hridpadmasanam dadyat sahasrarachyutamritehi padyam charanayor dadyat manastvargyam nivedayet tenamritena achmaniyam snaniyam tena chasmitam akashatattvam vastram syat gandhatatvakam chittam prakalpayet pushpam dhupam pranan prakalpayet tejastattvam cha deepartham naivedyam syat sudhambudhi anahata dhvanir ghanta. The unstruck sound, anahata, is the bell. If you ring this bell, this is actually a struck sound. But the unstruck sound is the bell. Anahata dhvanir ghanta. Anahata dhvanir ghanta vayu tattvam cha chamaram. Sahasraram bhavit shatram shabda tattvam cha geetakam. Nrityam indriya karmani chanchalyam manasas tatha. A sacred dance. In temples, there would be a dance presented before the deity. So the dance of our sense organs, eyes are seeing, ears are hearing, the nose is smelling, the skin is feeling temperature. This is dance. It's being presented to the deity who is consciousness. Thoughts, emotions, memories, impulses arising like bubbles and disappearing in the lake of the mind. That's the dance being presented before the deity. But see the visualization. We complain, mind is restless, I have to quieten the mind. This is the skillful way of quietening the mind. Let it be restless. It's a nice dance you're presenting before the deity. Then you offer flowers. Nityam indriya karmani chanchalyam manasas tatha sumekhalam padmamalam pushpam nana vidham tatha. Now all the virtues in the mind are offered as flowers to the deity. Let me chant this. Amayam amayadde भावपुष्पैः अच्छयेद् भावगोचरम् अमायम् अनहङ्कारम् अरागम् अमदं तथा अमोहकं मदम्भं च द्वेषाक्षोभकौ तथा अमात्सर्यम् अलोभं च दशपुष्पं विदुर्बुधा अहिंसा परमं पुष्पं पुष्पमिन्द्रियनिग्रह दयापुष्पं क्षमापुष्पं ज्ञानपुष्पं च पञ्चमम् इति पञ्चदशैर्भावपुष्पैः सम्पूजयेत् शिवम्. Worship the auspicious, worship Shiva, worship the deity. How? With 15 flowers. What are these 15 flowers? These 15 flowers are flowers of bhava in the mind, the sacred energies generated in the mind. And they are all called amaya, beyond maya. What are they? Anahankara, egolessness, freedom from ego. Aragam, freedom from inordinate attachments, pulls, addictions. Amadam, freedom from pride. Amohakam, freedom from delusion. Adambham, freedom from arrogance. Advesha, akshobhaka, freedom from aversion and hatred. Akshobhaka, disturbance of the mind. Freedom from the unevenness, the turbulence of the mind. Amatsaryam, freedom from jealousy. Freedom from greed, alobham. This is 10 flowers, dashapushpam. You offer these to the Lord. That means we're generating these flowers in the mind. And then ahimsa paramam pushpam, non-violence, is the highest, the most beautiful flower you offer to the Lord. Pushpam indriya nigraham, withholding the activities of the senses. This is another flower. So these are all positive. Daya pushpam, kindness. Kshama, forgiveness. Jnana, knowledge. These are flowers which you offer. With these 15 flowers, one worships Shiva. So this is the visualization, the creative imagination, but this is different from kalpana, which is imagination. This is bhava. That which we cannot yet know, we imagine. But it exists. It exists nevertheless. And we will realize it. So the examples I gave of the Swamis, they know already. They're no longer imagining. It's no longer their choice. So there is this book present before me. If I open my eyes, I'm perforce. If I'm attentive to my eyes, I am forced to see the book. It's not my imagination. Imagination, Shankaracharya says, Kattum anyatha va kattum shakyate. You may imagine Shiva there, or you may not imagine Shiva there, or you may imagine Devi or Ganesha or Sri Ramakrishna there. It's entirely what Shankaracharya calls Purusha Tantra, up to the agent. Your imaginative powers are under your control. You devise it. But then Vastu Tantram, depending on the reality, that's knowledge. As it is, you see, that's knowledge. You visualize, then that becomes bhava if you're worshipping. So upasana is when I cannot yet know, when I do not yet know. The same thing, when that Swami is seeing, it is knowledge because they are seeing it. When Sri Ramakrishna is saying Kali, it's not just worshipping Kali. It's not upasana for him. It's a fact. It's knowledge. It's a vision. But for us, if we try to do it, we will have to do it in a particular way, so that guided by those who have seen. These are devised in such a way. It purifies and focuses the mind so that we may ultimately one day actually see for ourselves, not just believe and imagine, not just visualize, not just out of reverence. All those are resources we are deploying. Belief, imagination, visualization, reverence, in order to generate this. Then it reveals itself. So this is upasana. Just a few practical hints about upasana, this one or the ones which we practice, and then I'll conclude and open up for questions. So this I'm drawing from another wonderful essay in that book, Meditation According to the Monks of the Ramakrishna Order. There is an essay there by Swami Ashokananda. Before you sit, and there he makes 9 or 10 points. What I'm going to say now is based on what he has said. Very practical advice. So, to improve our upasana, to improve our meditation. First point he makes is regularity, not mood. When do you meditate? When I feel like it? Never. When you feel like it, often you must, of course. If you get an impulse to sit and meditate, never miss that opportunity. In a sacred space, at a sacred time, when you're moved profoundly, do meditate. Please do. But at other times, when we do not feel like it also, if it's the time for meditation, you'll meditate. It doesn't depend upon our moods. Remember, a meditation teacher said this, there is no bad meditation. You just sit. We complain, it's mechanical, I'm not going anywhere, it's a waste of time. That's the trick of the mind. It's not a waste of time. It's something that the mind hates. The mind doesn't want it. That's the time to strike when the iron is hot. You sit for meditation then also. Even if the mind doesn't want it, especially when the mind doesn't want it, if it's the meditation time. So regular meditation should be done. Once you have started meditation, do it regularly, every day, without fail. Second thing he says, the mind is a creature of habit. So, same place, same time. As far as possible. And I know we all have busy lives and so many things, but as far as possible, if possible at all. Same place, over time, the mind associates the place with meditation. So mind becomes calmer, quieter there. Don't use that place. And asana, that's why you may use one particular seat for meditation. And don't let anybody else use it. You use it. This is the common one for the worship. But when you have a personal meditation, upasana, that's yours. You use it. There are tanmatras, certain subtle vibrations which are associated. That's why we value the asana or the rosary, the japamala, which enlightened beings, which great masters have used. We value it because they're charged with a certain power. You can feel it if you touch those articles. That's why relics are valued. 3 days ago, I was in a very beautiful basilica, St. Mark's Basilica in Venice. And this is, St. Mark is the apostle, the disciple, direct disciple of Jesus Christ. So his remains are there in that place. It was bought there from the Middle East and kept there. It's a very, very old place. So all these old places of worship. For a Hindu, there is no problem at all. Anywhere God has been worshipped sincerely for a long time, it will have the vibrations. So this is 1,000 years old. In 1017 or something it was established. For 1,000 years, devout, they have worshipped, they have prayed, they have wept, they have contemplated in that place. So it is surcharged. So we have a small group, usually it's full of visitors, it's very busy. We are very privileged. We were taken aside at night when it was shut down, nobody there. We were allowed entry into it. And we sat there in the semi-darkness. And then parts of it were lit up to show the work. There were millions of golden tiles there. So the idea is God is light there. Now, we were part of a workshop on consciousness studies. So I had told them about a verse, about a text called Vichar Sagar, written by Nischal Dasji, not very old, just 200 years old. It's a very interesting text, a huge text on non-dual Vedanta. And they are mostly atheists. mostly professors, scientists, computer science people and all. They are fascinated. Oh, really? This is an old text, an inquiry into consciousness. So can you read from that in the basilica itself, in that atmosphere, that holy atmosphere? And we have to get permission from the church. Is it sacrilegious for a Hindu to read from a Hindu text in the St. Mark? And this church was very fine with it. Absolutely, go ahead. So we read uh, about this light of consciousness, Sukham Nityam Swaprakasham, that which intellect cannot grasp, that which lights up the intellect, this limitless consciousness I am, it is none other than me. This is my firm conviction. So, uh, same place, same time, it becomes a holy place and a holy time. You can do it in a temple. There you can get advantage of the um, generations and generations of worship which has been done there again and again and again, repeatedly. There is an atmosphere. There is an atmosphere here, you'll feel it, especially if you come alone. There is an atmosphere. And in some of the temples in India, the ancient temples, extremely busy, rush. You stand for hours and then you enter into the inner sanctum, and there you can get 30 seconds maybe before you're. But if you stand quietly for even half a minute, you will feel there what you cannot feel in hours and hours of meditation. There is something very powerful. So, temples, churches, ancient, especially if it belongs to your own tradition, there you resonate much more easily. Then pilgrimage places, Benares, Vrindavan, other places, Tirupati, there's places like that, Puri, sacred rivers, places like that. So there is a same place, same time. If nothing else, your own shrine room, which you have cultivated over years and decades. Bhava is there. Then the third thing which Swami Ashokanji mentions is a certain asceticism. To make meditation effective, one must simplify. Let the room should not be cluttered. You can't use it as, it's my dumping room and my meditation room. Won't work. No. It must be austere, see, minimalistic. See, the clutter, external clutter, the mind latches onto that. It'll become internal clutter very soon. External, plain, simple, silent, clean, and mind also will reflect that. Mind is a very good mirror. So, austere, simple, clean, clear, the space, but also in general our life. If your life is packed with too many things, most of it is nonsense anyway. So you pack it in with too many things, then the mind also will be packed. So austere, simplified life. That's the reason people become monks. Simplified life. Clear the decks for action. Get rid of unnecessary garbage. Swami Ashokanji says that once you have started coming to Vedanta, he's talking in 1950s in San Francisco. Once you have started coming to Vedanta, yeah, people will say of you, oh, mum is no fun anymore. And people complain that I'm losing interest in other things in life. And what was the Swami's response? He said, I say good riddance to bad rubbish. At a certain time, one must become mature. That one must grow out of it. I see two people in Manhattan, city that never sleeps. Manhattan city that never sleeps. Fine. You're young in your 20s. If you really are into it, you want to earn $1 million on Wall Street and work for 5 days a week and party for the weekend. And then again, work. All right, even do that. But intelligently, at one time, you must grow out of it. We're doing it when you're mid-20s. All right, I'll say, but in your 30s, you're still doing it. 40s, you're still doing it. Something wrong with you. 50s, you're still doing it. There's something pitiable about you. Yeah. Yes. So one must snap out of it, grow out of it, intelligently, learn from life. Then the next thing, so austere, simplified place, space, but life, day, life. And then meditation becomes effective. Then the importance of holy company. In fact, Sri Ramakrishna, if people asked him, what should we do? He said, go into solitude once in a while, holy company, and prayer. These are the three things he would say. Holy company, company of those who are already spiritual. Could be other devotees, it could be monks, it could be people who are dedicated to spiritual life. How do you know holy company? When our minds are raised through something divine. You feel an impulse of divinity, a holiness, sublime in the company of such a person, then it's holy company. Then the opposite. Swami Ashokanji says, be careful about the other company you keep. The not so holy company. That also has a powerful effect on us. Our mind has all these hooks. I mean, these tendencies are there. The hooks come from outside and they latch onto something in our minds and pull it out. So old desires, so people, I know this is the language people use in US and all, people who trigger me. So avoid. Don't try to disarm the triggers or all that is takes too much time, too much hard work. If it's possible, avoid such company. You have to cultivate something within. We have a high and noble purpose in life. You can't. Sri Ramakrishna puts it very beautifully. He says, if you throw milk into water, it'll get mixed. It will be to the detriment of the milk. It'll get mixed. If you throw mind into the world, it'll get mixed with the world. Then what do? You take the milk aside and keep it until it becomes yogurt. Curd settles into curd. It takes time. If you keep disturbing it, it'll never settle into curd. Overnight, it settles into curd. Then he says you have to churn it. And then the butter comes out of it. And you take the butter and you throw it, what will happen into water? It'll float. It'll float. Similarly, what a beautiful example. Similarly, he says, you settle down, withdraw, go away, keep your mind in holy company, let it settle down. When over time, the butter, that is your realization, it comes up. That mind, if you throw back into the world, it will not be affected. In fact, you will be able to affect the world. You'll be able to help the world. Otherwise, the mind just becomes diluted in the world, like milk thrown into water. So, bad company. I don't want to say bad, but it's true. Company affects. I've seen it so many times. People are interested in spiritual life, and then suddenly something else. What happened? Oh, I met an old friend and he said this and that, and then we distracted. Distraction. 5 years, 10 years down the line, then again circle back. Why did you waste 10 years? Then there is this generation of a strong desire for God realization. In Sanskrit, this is called mumukshutvam, intense desire for freedom. Or bhakti, intense love of God. Sri Ramakrishna has demonstrated it to an ideal, how he would weep for a vision of the mother. He said, one more day has gone. Sometime like this, when sunset, one more day has gone. He would fall flat on the bank of the Ganga and rub his face on the pebbles and the sand till his face would bleed. He would weep, Mother, you still have not shown yourself to me. And people in the temple of Kali, they thought this young priest is gone mad with sorrow, for he misses his mother who is in his village. He's a village boy. He has come to village. He's missing his mother. The poor boy. He's crying for his mother. He's crying for his mother, but the mother of all, the cosmic mother. So there is intense restlessness for God. Now, when we hear this, we scratch our heads and say, well, I am a little restless for God, but not very restless. Most of my restlessness is due to the world, not due to God. So what do we do? So Swami Ashokanji, he points out some practices. One is, when we sit and meditate, we must have a strong feeling of detachment. That right now, our restlessness is not for God. Our minds, our hearts are occupied with the world, and our restlessness is because of the world. I don't want my mind to be restless, but it is restless. What can I do? It becomes more obvious when I sit quietly. So, one powerful way of quietening the mind for meditation is to go into meditation with utter detachment. Go into it like we would take off our footwear when you come into the temple. Put the world aside. I have no father, mother, I have no husband, wife, child, especially child. No child, no son, daughter, nothing. I have no job, I have no money problems, tax problems, environment problems, health problems, insurance problems. You're lucky in England, you don't have health insurance problems. In America, that's a big source of worry. It is very sad. Yeah. Anxiety, especially when you get older, you're sick. Will you be treated or not treated? Thrown out on the street? You don't know. So, anxiety, no, I throw everything out, completely detached. None of that bothers me. And then he says, you add something more there. Approach meditation with a feeling of the eternity of time and the infinity of space. Imagine decades in one's own life. Instead of just today I'm sitting for meditation, imagine a lifetime, 10 years hence, 20, 30 years hence. The things which are bothering my mind, utterly forgotten, utterly inconsequential. Think in terms of a lifetime of 50, 60, 70, 80 years. How inconsequential are these thoughts? Mind will become calm. Think in terms of history of humanity, thousands of years, millennia. Think in terms of the history of the universe, millions of years, unimaginable oceans of time. The mind will become silent. Nothing matters. None of it matters. Whatever you see, just tell yourself, it does not mean anything, it does not matter. You must tell yourself it does not mean, first it means something to you, then it matters. It does not mean anything, therefore it does not matter. We are creating utter detachment in the mind. And so, is this good, Swami? Do it for some time. And get a taste of being a monk. It's good. It's really good. It's a great relief. I tell you, it's a great freedom. Don't worry, everything is there. Your chappal is waiting outside. Your fruitware is waiting outside. So it's not gone. So life is waiting for you outside. But here, tell life, no admission. You sit, eternity of time, infinity of space, vastness of this cosmos. What does it matter? One little blue dot, earth. Sit there and meditate. This detachment. Then he further says, rest of the time, keep a spiritual vibration alive. One way is to connect our daily life to God. So the Ishta Devata, the deity you meditate upon, the work I am doing outside, that is also your worship. So the upasana continues. This is what I was referring to at the beginning. When I'm going to the job, upasana continues. When I'm working, doing the dishes at home, upasana continues. When I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm doing the laundry, upasana continues. And it's not, it might be imagination, but Vedanta fully supports it. If it is one reality, is it true that the reality is only here and not there? Not in the highway there, in the office, in the house, home, in the commons there. It's everywhere. It has to be. If it's true, if Vedanta is at all true, the same divinity is equally everywhere. It is our inability that we cannot appreciate it everywhere. Vivekananda says, if you cannot see it everywhere, see it in one place, in temple, in the deity. If you cannot see it in all beings, see it in one being. Start there, but then you have to see in all beings. So connect it the whole day to God and expand it, a super upasana, if you will, the worship of God in all beings. Sri Ramakrishna said, Shiva Jnana Jiva Seva. This is at the core of the new Karma Yoga, which Swami Vivekananda, he empowered, he started in the modern language, the new release, update, 2.0 or 3.0, something like that. So it is a very powerful method. It spiritualizes our entire day. Then when you sit for meditation, it's wonderful. It's one flow. The mind is already prepared. One final point, Ashokanji doesn't mention it, but to my way of thinking, it's the most important thing. I think Ashokanji just takes it for granted, or they didn't speak about it openly in those days. So one most powerful aid to Upasana is Mantra Diksha. So those who have not taken, who have not been initiated, consider being initiated into a mantra, into a deity, into a tradition. So that is the single most powerful impulse in our spiritual lives. Having said this, I think sort of a survey of Upasana in connection to Vedanta, its central role, very powerful, very important. Without this Upasana, the Vedantic self-inquiry, it's sort of intellectual. It's fascinating. It's more like a philosopher's game you play. With the Upasana, it becomes spiritual. Without the upasana, it says, I know a nice thing. I know it, but it's not real for me. With the upasana, it will become real. You can live it. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanam. We have a little Q&A, and then there will be actually upasana. One of the forms of upasana is the evening upasana called the Aratrikam, which will be after the Q&A. How do we do the Q&A? Do you just raise your hand and ask the question? Yes. Okay, just tell us your name and ask the question. Yes.
Sorry. We learned today those beautiful verses more about objective meditation, or I think it's called Pratika Upasana.
Yes.
But we also are told about Ahura Upasana, internal meditation. My question number one is, does one naturally lead to the other, or is there further stages one has to get there?
Yes.
My second question is, I'm a Vipassana practitioner.
Yes.
And therefore, am I on the, well, I believe I am, but it would Vipassana be the right path to get to Brahma Vyasa and self-realization?
Okay. I'll answer the second one first. Vipassana mindfulness. It is fully supported by the Upanishads. If you go to the Katha Upanishad, there's a chariot metaphor. Atmanam ratinam vidhi, shariram tu rasameva. The body is the chariot. Today you might call SUV. It's the chariot. And the senses are the horses. And they are going on the paths which are the sense objects. The 5 senses, 5 horses, 5 sense organs. And then the mind is the reins by which you control. It's like the steering wheel. So the mind is like the steering wheel. It's like the reins by which the horses are controlled. And the intellect is the driver. So you are not the driver. It's more like an Uber you have called, this body. The body is the Uber. And the intellect is the driver. And you, the conscious being, the sentient being, the Jivatman, you are the passenger. You are the passenger there. And you are going on a spiritual journey. Okay, so now they have set up the paradigm. Now, what are we supposed to do? 3 levels of spiritual practice. One level is you have to train the horses. The body, the senses, they have to be trained. A particular lifestyle. What do I do? What do I do not do? What do I say? What do I do not say? What do I see, touch, smell, taste? What do I do not do? A discipline is imposed on the horses, on the senses. Basically, our activities in the world. Meaning a moral or an ethical life and a disciplined life. Then at the level of the mind, here is the thing. Samanaska, mindful. Literally, the literal meaning of that term samanaska is mindful, which is now very much the rage thanks to the Vipassana meditation, mindfulness. So the Upanishad itself says that at the level of the mind, the training needed is mindfulness, attention, control of the attention. And that's the basic minimum in all forms of meditation, including the one which we did. So this is a much more elaborate meditation, visualization, deity. There's an element of faith here. There's an element of bhakti here. Mindfulness is the bare minimum. It's utterly neutral. It does not come with metaphysics. It does not come with faith, belief. No, just attention. And attention to what? Something that's naturally present, the breath. It's happening all the time anyway. You don't have to practice it. It's a good idea to breathe. So breathing is continuing. So one of the best ways, the aim is not the breathing. The aim is attention, getting control of the attention. But because the breath is naturally there and it's rhythmic, it's good to hook the attention to that. So bring our attention back again and again. So this is called samanaska. Then there's further advanced practices. The intellect has to be educated. The jnana yoga, vijnanavan. So the intellect is immersed in Vedantic knowledge. Then he says the passenger will reach the goal, which is moksha. Otherwise, Upanishad says the chariot will crash. if the senses are indisciplined, if the mind is loose, the attention is scattered, and if the intellect is deluded, driver does not know where you're supposed to go, you're going to crash, you're not going to reach the objective. So this is a nice paradigm, and it supports mindfulness as the training for the mind, at the level of the mind. Very powerful training. And many people in this day and age, they like it because after all, this deity meditation, this lotus of the heart and all of that, it might be too much for many people. Depends on the mentality. I've seen in meditation camps, we tried different meditation techniques. Some like this kind. Others found the mindfulness thing very bare and boring. Nothing is happening. Well, precisely. That's the beauty of that method. Now, going back to your first question about the Ahangraha Upasana. That is Vedic Upasana. So, that's one thing I did not mention. Notice, I went straight from the Upanishads to our puja and meditation based on the puja. But the original Vedic Upasana I did not touch upon. So there is something which we modern Hindus do not do. It is outmoded. It has been replaced by our modern pujas. So the original upasanas found in the Vedas and in the Upanishads themselves. Upanishads are not only I am Brahman. They are also upasanas. There are practices there. And those practices, they were called vidyas. Techniques. For example, here is one. What is the purpose of these vidyas? One purpose is, I am from this utter body identification, it's extremely difficult for me to think I am limitless consciousness. Just to grasp this concept is extremely difficult. If you try it, at most it will seem like an intellectual concept, a construct, not real. This bodily sense seems to be very real, very vital. It's not a thought, it's real. And Vedanta demands that I am existence, consciousness, bliss. It should be as real as this, at least. How do you bridge this gap? Just arguments will not cut it. So in order to help the mind to bridge this gap, upasanas were there in Vedic times. For example, what are the purposes? One purpose is mind expanding, expansion of the mind. Ability to see something utterly different from the way we think of ourselves. Focus, of course, focus is always there. Control of the attention is one of the purposes. Purification of mind is another purpose. So imagine, here is one visualization in the Vedic times. Imagine a cosmic person. The eye, the sun and the moon are the eyes. Space is the head. Fire is the speech, the tongue. Wherever fire is burning, that's the speech of this cosmic person. The atmosphere of the world is the chest, the lungs of that cosmic person. The oceans are the belly of that cosmic person. The feet of the cosmic person are the mountains and the land, the continents. This cosmic person. Imagine the cosmos as a person. This visualization. It is amazing to think of this whole thing as one being. You find that in the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna says to Krishna, I'm convinced, you have told me you are an avatar, you are an incarnation of God, that you are the creator of the universe. I'm convinced, but I want to see. I still see you as this guy, you're my charioteer. I want to actually experience this. And be careful what you ask for. Krishna, of course, is full of love for Arjuna. You're my child, my best friend, and so on. So yes, of course, you can see. But you need special eyes to see it. Divyam dadami te chakshu. I'm giving you this divine insight with these eyes. And then he saw. And that 11th chapter is the description. Poetically, it's the climax of the Bhagavad Gita. In fact, in one class, in the Harvard Divinity School, they were studying the Bhagavad Gita. And they're wondering at the end of the 11th chapter, why is there a 12th chapter? 11th chapter, Gita is finished. But neither Arjuna nor Krishna nor any of the commentators from that time onwards till today have ever said that is anything very great. But poetically, the drama is at its highest in the 11th chapter. So Arjuna sees. And what's the reaction? He's terrified. He asked for it. He is terrified. He says, every hair on my body stands on end. What am I seeing? As if 1,000 suns have risen in the sky. One sun, heat wave. All the news is full of heat wave coming this week. Be careful. When Sheffield or somewhere, everybody has been asked to stay in the downstairs room or something. Don't go to upstairs room, it'll be too hot. One sun, 1,000 suns have risen in the sky. It inspired Oppenheimer when he saw the first atom bomb explosion, New Mexico. He read and loved the Bhagavad Gita. Robert Oppenheimer. In fact, when he was a student in Berkeley, a Sanskrit professor taught him Sanskrit. He knew the original Sanskrit. He could read the original Sanskrit. He had memorized large portions of the Gita in the original Sanskrit. And everywhere he went, he had his own small library, and he had always carried the Bhagavad Gita. And in those initial days, when he was first introduced to it, he said, it is the most sublime philosophical spiritual poem in any language of humanity, the Bhagavad Gita. And he would give copies of it to his friends. I'm sure he made a bore of himself. His father bought him a Cadillac, which he promptly named Garuda, the Cadillac. So the 1,000 suns rising in the sky. What is he seeing? What is Arjuna seeing? The description, the poetic description there. Of 1,000 heads of all the gods and the demons in hell, of all the living beings and animals and plants, all beings of this world and the other worlds, all together in one being, the cosmic being, Vishwarupa. That's called Vishwarupa, the cosmic being. God in the form of the universe. Now the difference, commentators explain, what's the difference between, I'm also seeing the universe. So is Arjuna. What's the difference? Difference is we are seeing it spread out in time and space. We are seeing this much. And we are seeing you. I mean, you go out there, you will see something else. Throughout our lives, we are seeing space in slices. We are seeing time in slices. We are seeing people and other beings in single individual or groups. We are not seeing all of it at once. And not only all of it at once as one being. Imagine one anthropologist, he says, why are we afraid of public speaking? It's because, I was mentioning Desmond Morris yesterday, he says that because in the animal kingdom, staring is a sign of aggression. It's when two dogs stare at each other, growl. Or if you stare quiet at a dog, just minding his own business, if you go and stare at that poor mutt, and he will look at you. Either he'll wag his tail, or if you glare at him too long, either he will shrink away or he'll growl at you. Because direct stare in the animal kingdom is a sign of unblinking stare, sign of aggression. And where else do you find it? You find it in public speaking. You're all staring directly at me. And he says, that's why initially, when you speak for the first time, suppose in school, you're asked to speak to your class, you suddenly are tongue-tied, you're scared. They're all staring at me. And our animal brain, according to the anthropologist, interprets it as aggression. And so there's a fight or, you can't fight them. You can't run away. It's a fight or flight reaction. And there's a tension builds up. So imagine the public group of people staring at you. Imagine not 100 people, but 1,000 people staring at you. Imagine 10,000 people staring at you. The largest audience I have faced was in Belur Math, 14,000 people. Imagine, even that is not a difficult audience. The most difficult, scariest audience I ever faced was in Belur Math itself. In a monks' convention, I was asked to speak as a new monk, a young, newly minted monk, to 400 senior monks sitting and looking at you. Imagine 400 Maharajas sitting there and looking at you. How you will feel. They're all sitting and judging you. But now imagine all the creatures of the world, 7 or 8 billion human beings and billions of living beings, animals and plants and insects, and all the gods in different heavens and all the demons in different hells. All of these billions and billions, all put together in one being. And then it looks at you. It stares at you. How will you feel? Arjuna says, the earth shakes with every step you take. Every hair in my body is standing on its end. My throat is parched. My hands and feet have gone cold. The bow and arrow, it slips from my hands. My head reels. He's just saying, stop. I can't bear it anymore. So this is the cosmic being. This is a visualization. Now go one step further. What you said, ahangraha upasana. So having visualized this, by now if you're not scared, you're not scared, then visualize it and then you say, I am that. Suppose I were not this guy. I am that Vishwarupa. What would it feel like? What would it feel like to be the universe? So this is ahangraha upasana. These are Vedic upasanas. And these are baby steps. These are baby steps to the ultimate realization, I am Brahman. That knowledge is later on. That is coming through the Upanishadic inquiry. I am pure consciousness. I am Satchidananda. That is beyond this. This is to practice. This is like walking with the help of, kids. You help them to walk like that. Baby steps. Swami Vivekananda, he has Kali the mother. He has a poem. You read that poem? The most complete description of God. All the good and all the bad. All of it. Not flinching, turning your eyes away. And he has described that. And he was talking to Ranada Babu, who was the head of the School of Arts in Calcutta. And he said, can you make a painting for me? He said, get the poem. And he reads it out, Swami Vivekananda. And that painter is sitting there. And Sharat Chandra, who's writing the reminiscences, you could see the fright in the eyes. He's a painter, very sensitive. He's trying to visualize the poem. But Swami Vivekananda is saying, he says he sees a fright in the eyes of the painter. Can you make a painting of this? Vivekananda asks him. He said, sir, I will try. And make it and show it to me. I'll tell you where to correct it. So he started. He never completed it and never brought it to Vivekananda again. He was terrified. Just the imagination of it. So this is called ahangraha upasana. I am. Now imagine you're visualizing it, Kali. And I am Kali. Now what will it feel like? This is ahangraha upasana. But these have generally been replaced by our pujas now. The kind of upasana which I read out now. Yes, please tell us your name and ask the question. Yes.
When we are initiated, we are given Guru Mantra. And all the mantras, beautiful mantras you have said, I don't say it.
No, you don't. Don't discuss it in detail. This initiation process, mantra, they should not be publicly discussed. If you have a general question about it, you can ask, but nothing specific. It's most important. It is most important. Swami Tapasyananji used to say, when you have been given the mantra by the Guru, you have been given God. That is the seed. You cultivate it. It will lead to the bumper crop, which is life will become Jivan Mukta. You will realize God, you will have the vision of God, your heart will be filled with devotion, mind will be filled with knowledge, you will realize your unity with your oneness with this limitless consciousness, and you will become a Jivan Mukta. Mind will be purified, heart will be purified, mind will be concentrated, and knowledge will come. Everything will come from that mantra. Yes, so the mantra and Guru mantra and the Paddhati, the methodology given by the Guru is sufficient in itself.
Why not any other chanting, any other mantra?
No, you can do whatever else, but this is the core. This is the indispensable, the indispensable minimum. If nothing else one can do, one can. This is so easy. Just a small mantra. You can do it with the whole procedure as given by the Guru, and one must try to do it morning and evening as the Guru has taught us. And at other times also one can do. It's so easy. Try. It's wonderful to listen to Pancha Kosha Viveka, the 5 layers of the human personality, and how do you inquire into that and find out in the cave of the heart, the light which is shining. But you try to do it actually, you'll get a headache. That will be the typical result of actually trying to do it. It's not at all easy. Now, I mean, of course, one can do it and one should try Vedantic inquiry. But the mantra japa is far more easy. We must do for quite a prolonged period, few thousand every day, for a few years at least. Then one gets the benefit of it. See, one cannot jump across a ditch in small jumps. What will happen if you try to get little by little, I'll jump across the ditch, you'll fall into the ditch. You have to take a big jump. So make an effort. See, real sadhakas, I know because I'm in a monastic community, you meet such persons. It's very surprising. And sometimes they're so humble, they don't know their own greatness. One Mataji, will not take any names, very well-known sadhika. She was asked this question, how many times we should repeat per day? And how many? They thought probably she will say 1,000, 2,000, something like that. She's so humble, she didn't realize, but it struck us. She was saying, I have found better than counting mantras, it's better to count the hours. We think, oh, hours, not more than 1 hour we have to chant. That means she's meditating, doing japa 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day. So she's easier for her to count the hours. Imagine, just that little thing, without thinking she said it. But to us, we're all looking at each other. And you can see it. You can see it in the life of such a person. There's a light about them. They themselves, you can see it in their face, their words, their behavior, and in their company, our minds are also uplifted. I was giving a talk, luminous living, about Jivan Mukti. So I told them privately that this is my talk, I'm talking. But if you want to see luminous living, look at her. Look at that Mataji. Yes.
Being described as ever blissful.
Yes.
So what would we need to conjure or create this anomaly, Maya? This separateness from the reality.
Why Maya? Why separation from? Yes. I will repeat the question. So, a very profound question. So, Brahman is ever blissful. We are saying Nityam Ananda Murtim. Then why this anomaly? This is a good word for it. Anomaly. It's a glitch in the programming. Bug. So, why this anomaly? Why has it been conjured up? And conjured up is a good phrase to use because it is Maya. Maya is conjuring. So why this question? This is an old, profound question. Ultimately, if you read Vedanta, you will come to this question anyway. If this is so, that there is Brahman, existence, consciousness, bliss, and that's the ultimate reality, and I am that, and that's the truth of the matter, then why all this? Why all this? Why did the one become the many? Why did Brahman create the universe? Somerset Maugham, your own very Somerset Maugham, right here. He was one of the big influences upon 20th century Western seeking spirituality, backpacking it to India. Larry, Razor's Edge, the book. And at least we read it when we were kids. Siddhartha Harman has Somerset Maugham's Larry, and so on and so forth. So Somerset Maugham knew a lot of Vedanta. He visited Raman Maharshi, and he had an experience there in front of Raman Maharshi. And he wrote, and some of his essays are inflected with his Vedantic study. He says, when one learns about how Brahman created this world, one feels Brahman could have left well enough alone. Shouldn't have created this world. Why samsara? Why this cycle of births and deaths? Why suffering? And then why again the big quest for learning Vedanta? Such a drag. And then you have to meditate and repeat thousands of times apparently this mantra. And then, oh, this is too much work. Why? Why did Brahman do that? I can give you many answers. Take your pick. I have a list of 24 answers. Harman, Professor Arthur Harman, The Problem of Evil in Indian Philosophy, Indian Thought. It's a book. So the question is put in a slightly different way. Why, if God exists, why is there so much suffering? Why did God create all this suffering? In a slightly different way. And he says, what are the answers? He finds these answers not only in Indian thought, across all philosophies of the world, religions of the world, literature of the world. He has found a list of 24 answers. He has given all of them. But I'm not going to give you 24 answers. I'll give you, let's say, 3 answers. One is the school answer. We are all learning, evolving until we reach enlightenment and attain moksha. So we go through lifetime after lifetime. And then when you're sufficiently advanced, after lots of kicks and blows and many lifetimes, sufficiently advanced and ready, you come to Vedanta. The YouTube suggests that talk to you, which means congratulations, you're advanced enough. I'm only half joking, slightly. Uh, it's not just Vedanta. Every religion puts it that way to you, that it's a great blessing that you have come across my particular religion. I saw that in Jainism. So the most non-violent, the most gentle of all. And therefore ours is the best. Because the old texts say that ours is the best because it's the most gentle, non-violent of all. So obviously the best. And so you've got greatest good karma if you come to Jainism. Similarly, we can also say about Vedanta. And then you start practicing, and then maybe in this life, if you're very sincere, or maybe some lives hence, one day you'll become enlightened and free. So that was the purpose. That's why Brahman created the universe and our life and all of that. At this point, you might say, not convincing. Why at all? If you're already Brahman, then why at all create? Why were we put in the situation of being in ignorance and therefore requiring school? School is required for babies because babies are born with ignorance. You go to kindergarten and so on and so forth. But if you are Brahman already, if you're already a PhD, why then make a person ignorant and then make him work all the way back to PhD? So, the school example does not cut ice. It doesn't make the cut. Swami Vivekananda, an American lady in California, said, Swami, is it true that we are all in a school or a gym? In a school, we learn our lessons and then we are set free. And Vivekananda said, whoever said that to you, madam? No, we are like clowns tumbling in a circus ring. And then that lady was surprised. She said, I never heard anything like this. Why do we tumble, Swami? And he says, because we love to tumble. It's fun. So that's the second answer. Why did Brahman create all this? It's fun. It's Leela. It's one of your British expatriates, Alan Watts in the Bay Area, 1950s and 60s. One newspaper, I think New York Times, referred to him as part pirate, part philosopher. He taught a mixture of Zen and Vedanta there. So he says, why answer to your question? God is a child story, but it's really profound. It's really meant for adults. The God existed from eternity to eternity. Nothing else existed except God. And then God got bored, alone. Yeah. Upanishad, he's actually quoting the Upanishad. God got bored. Did not find it fun. Dangerous. When God gets bored, you can see cosmic mischief is coming. So God thought it would be nice to play with somebody, but whom can I play with? There's nobody else. I'm all alone. And then he thought about it for a long time. Then he came up with a solution. God pretended to be not God. Now there are two. There is God and God pretending to be not God. Now God can play with God. God can play with God pretending to be not God. But God is very good at what he does. He's awfully clever at what he does. So when he pretended to be not God, he totally forgot he was God. And he started searching for God. And that's where we are now. Here we are. God pretending to be not God, having forgotten that he is God and searching for God. Here we are. This is the Leela theory. This is also a very ancient theory. How does this answer your question? So to the Leela, you cannot ask why. A child is playing. You ask, why are you playing? There's no answer to that. It's fun. Why are you having fun? That question is no good. Fun is the end in itself. Fun is the end in itself. If something is an end to something else, then it's lower. The final end is the highest thing. Somebody asked in the conference recently, what is the purpose of art? Where are we going with this? He says, I would be utterly shocked if anybody gave an answer to that saying that this is the purpose of art and we're going there with this. No, then you're relegating art to instrumental. You never make it instrumental. It is the point of everything else. So, similarly, spirituality is the highest of all arts and sciences. It is play. Therefore, you cannot ask, why is God playing? Play, there's no why to it. Now, Sri Ramakrishna gave this play answer. It is the play of God. What can we understand? It is the play of God. And the person who had asked this question, one Mr. Mukherjee, he said, He was very annoyed with this answer. He said, it's play for God, it's death for us. It's play for God, it's death for us. Then Sri Ramakrishna comes back with the third answer, which is the Advaitic answer. And he asks, and who, pray, are you? Do you know who you are? Suppose it's your play. Then what will you say? You might say it doesn't feel like that. All right, inquire, then you will see it's your play. Then there's nobody to blame. Whom will you blame? You set it up. Why this construct, this anomaly called Maya? Why was this conjured up? You conjured up. You are the magician. Conjuring is your business. That's what you're conjuring up. So Maya is the answer. Now you can still ask, why Maya? Why couldn't Brahman, like Somerset Maugham said, left well enough alone? Just be Brahman. Please stay away from Maya. So stay away from Maya. You'll get burnt otherwise. Well, will you wait? You want to say something, or should I finish the answer? So why Maya? Vivekananda says at this point, I'll rush it through a little bit, but it's a very subtle point. Vivekananda says the question is wrong. At this point, the question becomes meaningless. Why does the question become meaningless? Because you are asking why causality. Maya is space, time, causation. Space, time, and causality. Causality is cause and effect. Basically, in our terms, it is because. When you ask why, you want a because answer. Why is the grass wet? Or now, why is the grass dry? You say because of the heat. Why is there heat? Because of the sun. You want a because answer. But any because answer already presupposes causality, or in our terms, it presupposes Maya. You can't ask why before Maya. It's like asking, what is outside space? But outside and inside are space words. Outside space does not make any sense. What is before time? Sounds like a reasonable question, but it doesn't make any sense, because before and after are time words. It's only when time is there you can ask before and after. If time is not there, you can't ask what was there before time. You can't ask what was there before, what is there outside space. So why Maya does not make any sense. Philosophically, the meaning is this: in Advaita Vedanta, Brahman, the ultimate reality, is not causally linked with the universe. You can't causally argue back from the universe to Brahman. However, be careful here. The universe is causally linked with Brahman. Brahman is not causally linked with the universe. It's like this: the snake and the rope. From the snake's perspective, rope is essential. Without the rope, you will not make the mistake of seeing it as a snake. From the rope's perspective, it's what snake? I'm a rope. The snake is your problem. You are making a mistake. I have nothing to do with the snake. No connection at all with your silly snake. But when the snake is the question, when the snake is all important, then you have to find out the rope. Why Maya? You cannot ask. How much time do we have? Is there an internet question? No. All right. Then we'll take 3 questions and I'll go fast. Yes. Yes. Very difficult. Yes.
So the problem we have in this country is we have lots of work, probably all over the world, but here we have lots of different groups who only want to protect themselves.
Yes.
But I think if they had like more knowledge and stuff,
yes,
see that everything's the same.
Yes.
We might help. And we'll be stronger as a unit.
I agree with you totally. And the answer is there in your question itself. If they had more knowledge. So one way is education. The reason why it's so difficult to unite Hindus is Hinduism as a religion is par excellence a way of attaining God realization. It's centrally a spiritual religion, and therefore tremendous diversity, as many ways. So the Hinduism is, Vivekananda said, it's the grandest religion in the world. It is the richest religion in the world in terms of philosophy, in terms of diversity, in terms of practices, deities, endless variety. And the reason endless variety is there because there was absolute freedom in the spiritual quest in India. So many paths, so many teachers, so many lineages were developed. Some have become extinct, but there are many, and it continues to develop. It's probably the one truly living religion in the world. Others have sort of run off into the dry deserts of dogma. So they're frozen, sort of. But this is true. It is really, in that sense, it's the eternal religion. It's eternally alive, a perennial source. But that just makes it more difficult to unite. I always call Hinduism is the world's largest disorganized religion. It is at the same time the strength of Hinduism, that it is not dependent on any particular organization, any particular book, any particular temple. It will remain alive as long as one Hindu is alive. It will remain alive as long as Mahatma Gandhi said, Isha Upanishad, the first line of Isha Upanishad is so important. If all the texts of Hindus were to disappear today, but only this first line, Ishavasyam idam sarvam, if that remains alive, then all of Hinduism will remain alive. So like a hologram, it is contained in every one of its parts. But having said that, it's not a fruitless task to try to unite Hinduism. But it's what Vivekananda did. So it was never actually originally meant for, politics, for uniting, or to build up a nation, or to fight wars and conquer others and destroy others. It was never meant for that. And there are religions, all religions are paths to God. That's the central idea. But there are religions which have a strong political, even military side to it. But not Hinduism. So efforts to unite Hindus while preserving the diversity, most welcome and should be done. One way is knowledge. Organization is another way. Vivekananda in America, he said, one day he came back to the house where he was staying and said to his hosts that I have fallen in love today. And the lady of the house laughed and said, who is the lucky lady? And he said, no, it is not a lady, it is organization. So that impulse, organizing impulse, because Hinduism is dynamic and evolving, we are always ready to absorb new things from the world. And that's another way of uniting. One way is knowledge, one way is organization. And you find other ways. This is something that's not new. Every temple committee in the West, Hindu temple committee, they have this same complaint that how many can we accommodate? Every group of Hindus wants their own deity in the temple. So, yeah. It's a great, actually, I always see it as a great power of Hinduism. Yeah.
But yeah, we get attacked a lot,
Yes.
and we don't have the knowledge.
Yes.
Two, it's hard for children growing up.
It's very hard.
Children,
Here, and I've seen the same thing in the United States. So, two things. One, what you're trying to do is a thankless job. You must be ready for it. Half the criticism you'll get is from Hindus. And at the same time, it's a very worthwhile job. It's a blessed job. It's a job of great good karma, merit, punya. Regardless of what people say or what people are doing, you must push ahead. Benefits will automatically flow. But the lady who raised her hand there, wait, we don't have time. Yes, you have raised your hand, the lady there. Yes. Yes, please. If somebody has done something to harm you, yes. If somebody has harmed you means you said curses, has cursed you. Yes. Please sit. Please sit. I'm reminded of a senior monk of ours at the gate of Belur Math. This happened a few years back. A lady came and said, Swami, do you feel that these mantras work? And he says, of course, mantras are charged with spiritual potency. They are very powerful. They work. And this lady burst into tears. He said, what happened? Well, my neighbor has done black magic on me, used mantras on me. And the Swami said, oh, no, they don't work at all. They're all useless. Be adamantine strong. Yeah. If you have done anything to harm that person, mentally ask for forgiveness and go ahead. Take the name of, there's no question that, there's never even the slightest possibility the name of Krishna will not work. It will work. Name of Krishna will work. The name of the Divine Mother will work. Especially the Devi is very powerful. These are all her powers. So you take refuge in the Devi, nobody, in the Divine Mother. Or if you're a worshipper of Krishna, take refuge in Krishna. Nobody can touch you. Be strong. Make your mind strong. Tell your mind, don't be silly. Curses and such, 21st century. And then one last. Yes, Payuti, yes.
Okay, Swami, thank you so much. I was just wanting to possibly represent, we all go on about, oh, we don't have time, we don't have time. So I was wondering if you could share with us some of the advantages of doing japa or meditation in the night hours, and which are the good ones.
So question was, we feel that we don't have time. What about the advantages of doing japa in the night hours? I think the answer is there in the question itself. One of the advantages of japa is, except times when you feel you're like in the toilet or washroom, other than that, you can do the japa mentally all the time. So I forget. Good. The moment you're aware you've forgotten, start again. Don't bemoan, oh, I've forgotten, I'm no good, this is not going to work. That's a trick of the mind. Start doing the japa again. It's a wonderful thing for the mind to hold on to. What thought, imagine all our thoughts are catalogued before you. The thoughts that we have, most of our thoughts are repetitive. Which thought is more valuable than the japa? You will find, except some urgent thoughts about an immediate work at hand and a tiny bit of planning for the days ahead. That's all. Other than that, no thought is useful. Most of it is rubbish. It's garbage. It's a waste of energy. Substitute it with japa. Some thought will always go on in the mind. Let it be the japa. Let it be the mantra, the name of God. Nothing comes close to it in being sublime, powerful, purifying, uplifting, protecting, energizing, strengthening. There's nothing as valuable as the mantra. If you feel fresh or if you feel awake and stay awake at night, sit quietly and repeat in the quiet of the night. Wonderful time for japa. When nature is quiet. There's a beautiful description of Swami Vivekananda in Manhattan, in New York. When the great city slept, so the Manhattan sleeps apparently. When the great city slept, Vivekananda meditated. This is the late 19th century. And one of the small apartment they would stay in, that was the Vedanta Society at that time. This American person who has reminiscences, he says, suddenly we would enter a room and the room would be surcharged with a certain feeling. You would see Vivekananda sitting there and meditating. We would stop and quietly back out of the room. The whole place was surcharged with a feeling of at any time. You should be able to repeat. Commuting is a good time to repeat the mantra. And if you get bored, it's strain, then read a book. Then you can listen to a bhajan or chanting or chant something. Try to meditate. A cycle of reading, meditation, and japa. Swami Turiyanji says, I spent my time in the Himalayas, in Rishikesh. Job, dhyan, part, dhyan, job. Japa, meditation, and study, meditation, and japa. And days after days in the mountains alone. Yes. Thank you. No, we have run out of time, actually. Yes. Now for some real upasana. Arati will start.